Hi, George is here.
Yeah, hi, sir. So yesterday were looking into the module 4 where we had looked into some of the properties. Basically, we have looked into these parts, basically the consolidation process, basically the survivorship and order of precedence, then about the cell level update, allow null update, and the allow null foreign key, which are the properties in the staging tables. And we were looking into this process, like how the load process works. So any questions regarding whatever we have discussed yesterday? Okay, so I'll just quickly go through this again, how the load process works, and we'll continue with this. So we have discussed that the load process, basically whenever we run the load process, it is basically split up into two steps. So that's basically update and insert. So first of all, like MDM identifies that which are the records which are coming as an update, which are the records which are coming as an insert, and that it does by comparing the staging table and the cross-reference table by checking two columns. One is the row ID system column and the PK source object column. If the combination of column is present in the cross-reference, means the record is coming as an update. If the combination of column is not present, it means that a new record is coming into the system. So it will do an insert. So first it does an update. It will update all the records and then it will process all the inserts. And next we have seen that once it has identified that the incoming record is coming as an update, it will check this condition where the last update date in the staging table is greater than the SRC LUD date or the source last update date in this cross-reference table. So if it is greater, then only it will process it. Otherwise, it just gives no action when you run the jobs. So we have two options in case we find this condition that no action is coming and still we want to process the record. We have an option in the batch job that when we go and run the load job, there is a checkbox of force indicator. So if we select that indicator, it will process all the records. So it will just bypass this check. And now, like if it is greater, if the last update date that is coming from a staging table is greater, or we have used this option, force update indicator equals to 1, then the cross-reference table is always updated, and then always updates the cross-reference table. Base object may or may not get updated because it will check the survivorship and order of precedence, and based on that, if it feels that record has to be promoted, it will promote it. Otherwise, it keeps that at the cross-reference level only. So that's why cross-reference always maintains the latest update that has come from a source system. And similarly, if we have enabled the history of a base object, then these two tables, HIST and HXREF, gets created. So HIST is for the base object history and HXREF is for the cross-reference history. So these tables are not created when we create a base object. Once we enable the history, then these two tables will get created. And now for the inserts. So now once the updates are done, it has to do the insert for the remaining records. So as we know, like whenever we load the data into the base object, there is a row ID object column which gets generated using a sequence number. So row ID object values are generated for the new records. That's the first one. And new records are inserted into the base object and cross-reference with a consolidation indicator value of 4. So that's a column in the base object and the cross-reference consolidation indicator. So we will discuss about this once we complete this insert process, that what is consolidation indicator and what are the values in that column. And similarly validation downgrades. So this also we saw, like whenever we run the load process, MDM calculates the validation rule and it puts them into the VCT table and the VXR tables, which are used at a later point of time whenever we are going to merge or whenever we are going to update the records. And similarly, if the history is switched on for the base object, then again it writes the data into the HIST table and the HXREF tables. So for the insert, like there is not much thing that it will do. And similarly, reject, in case any record is rejected, then it always goes to the staging table reject. So we have, like, we might have run the stage job probably by now. So in case the stage job which loads the data from your landing table to the staging table, in case any record fails, it goes to the reject table. Similarly, when we load the data from a staging table to a base object table, and in case any rejection happens, that will again go to the same staging table reject. So both the rejections, whether it happen at the stage level or it happens at the load level, it goes into the staging table reject only. So there is no separate tables for both the process. And we have seen that discussed, like when the rejection might happen at the load process. In the load process, you will see only one issue coming up, that is the lookup issue. So if you have passed some wrong value during the lookup, then only you will get an error. Otherwise, there is, during the load process, we usually don't get any errors. So that was about the load process.
Vinay,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, while loading into the landing to staging, where the rejection happens, landing to staging or staging to BO?
In both the case, it might happen.
Okay, in both cases, that rejected records will be loading into the rejection table, right?
Yes, correct.
Wherever it records has been rejected, then that record will be stored into rejection table.
Yes, correct. So it is just based on the staging table, like whatever is the staging table that we are using, based on that it will get rejected. So for example, like,
Okay, got it. Thanks.
so like for example, so I have here one landing table is there, and this is my staging table. One is for the CRM system, one is for the sales system, and finally I will have this, like here I will have a base objects like C underscore customer. So with this staging tables, I have the reject table which are associated. So there will be one reject table for both the staging tables, REG. So now, like, if when we are loading the data from the landing table to the staging table, suppose we are loading the data to these tables from CL customer to CS CRM customer, and if any rejection happens, it goes to the reject table of CRM. And similarly, when we are loading the data from this part, we are loading the data from the staging table to the base object table. In this case also, if any rejection happens, it goes to the same reject table. So it is just, as you know, staging table is the middle layer basically between the landing and the staging, and data passes from landing to staging and staging to the base object. So any rejection happens in the stage process or in the load process, there will be one staging table which is associated. So any rejections will go to the same reject table. Okay, so we'll look into the two columns basically which are there at your base object level. These are the system columns, and the first one is consolidation indicator. So consolidation indicator has these values 1, 2, 3, 4 and 9. So whenever we load the data into the base object, means whenever you will run the load process, at that time consolidation indicator value will be 4. So this is just to tell whether it is a new record or it is already processed. To know all those things, we uses this consolidation indicator value. So as of now, like, you will be running the stage job and then the load job. So once you run the load job, you will see 4 in your tables. Other than that, you will not see anything like 1, 2, 3, 9. These things you will not see because that will come in the next module, which is the match and merge. So once the record is loaded into the MDM, we will see like consolidation indicator 4. Next, when we go and run the match process, it changes the consolidation indicator to 3 at runtime. So 3 is like ready to be matched. So this 3 we usually don't see in the table level because MDM changes the value at runtime to 3. And once the records are matched, it changes the consolidation indicator to 2. So we see after 4 you will directly see 2 in the tables. You will not see 3 in the tables. And 2 is like ready to be merged. So now like we know that this is 2 means the record is already matched, and now we can merge these records. And 1 is like a unique record. And sometimes we might see consolidation indicator value as 9. This is very rare because 9 means on hold status. This sometimes can be done like in those scenarios where the business analyst says that they have sent some record to the MDM, but they don't want to process those records as of now. Means they don't want to participate this record in match and merge process. So for that reason, we can change the consolidation indicator value to 9 for those records, and later on whenever they say that you can process it, we can process that. So usually they don't send like this record. As I told, this is a rare condition that the business will say that don't process the record, but in case they say like that, we can change the consolidation indicator to 9 so that it doesn't participate in match and merge process. So we'll see like this in the table level. As of now, we can only see like 4 because we have run the load process. So we will see this value only 4. Later on, like once we go to the match process, I will show you like how the values are changing. And just noting this. And the second is the hub state indicator value. Hub state indicator basically tells us whether the record is active, pending or deleted. So these are the 3 types of indicators which it gives. By default, all the records that we load in MDM is an active record. So this is like 1 will be there by default. You don't have to pass these values because these are the system values. -1 is like soft deleted. So soft deleted means if you delete any record from the MDM side, whether you go from the MDM or you use the IDD application, it is a soft delete. Soft delete means it will just put -1 in your tables. So there are 2 concepts basically, soft delete and hard delete. Soft delete, what it will do, it will just put -1 in this column, hub state indicator. So MDM knows that this is the deleted record. So it will not use this record anywhere, means in the match or merge process or anywhere else. So you cannot use this record. And hard delete means you are physically deleting the record from the table level, means from the base object, cross reference, all the places you are deleting the record from the table itself. So sometimes this can be done because if the business basically says that there are some records which are deleted from their system. Just I'm giving an example here. Why probably will say you have loaded all the source data. Why you want to delete a source data? So I want to delete a source data basically because the business might say that I have deleted couple of customers from my system. Why? Because probably that's very old data, 15-20 years back data, and the customer doesn't exist itself. So we are planning to delete some customer from our side, customer records. So if they are deleting the customer record from their side, we also need to delete it from MDM. So usually we have to do a hard delete, means delete it from the table itself. But usually what we do initially, we will make this as a soft delete, means we will just put -1 in the tables. Because later point of time, we never know, sometimes business can come and say that no, I want one of the records in the MDM. I'm not going to delete it. Can you restore it back again? So restoration will be difficult because now you will have to go into the history tables because data is not there in your base object and the cross reference table. You will have to go in your history table, pull the data from history table into your landing table, then load using the normal process. So instead of that, we'll delete this, keep it for some time, maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks or month's time. And when the business doesn't comes up again, we'll do a hard delete of that. Delete the record from the table itself. So I'll show you all these scenarios. These all will come like when we go to the next modules. And 0 is basically pending state. So in MDM we have a workflow. So workflow is again comes into picture after the match process only. So once we do the match process, MDM puts the data into the match table. So there are two options, one is auto, one is manual. So if we have gone for manual merge, MDM automatically creates tasks and it assigns it to a data stewards or the business analyst. So that's basically a task part. But if we have to just tell you as of now, so what we can just say that suppose like business or the data stewards logging to the IDD application, and suppose they create a record or update a record and they send for approval. So in MDM, like we have two levels of approval process. So if they are using workflow in MDM, in that case the hub state indicator value changes to 0. It just tells us that this is in pending state, and if any record is in pending state, it is again not used for matching and merging activity. So I create a record and send it for approval to someone else. So he will review it, and once he approves it, then again automatically the hub state indicator value will change to 1, means as an active record. So as of now we have just run the load process, so we will see these two only active in the hub state indicator and 4 for the consolidation indicator. We'll just go to the SQL developer and show you the columns. So this is like I am in the customer base object, and as of now, like this is the consolidation indicator column. So this consolidation indicator column whenever you like load the data for the first time, it will be 4. So this tells us like this is a new record which has come into the system. So as of now in this table it is showing 1 and 2 also, because I have made some changes in the table. So 1 means like it is a golden record or a unique record, and 2 is basically ready to be merged. So but if you look into this indicator, I know that I have already run the match process on this, and now I can merge this record. So these are the indicators. Consolidation indicator just tells us which level our data is. And the next is the hub state indicator. Hub state indicator is like by default again 1, which tells us that record is in active state. So if you go to MDM and delete any record, it is a soft delete. So it will just put -1 here. So if it is -1, we know that this is a deleted record, and whenever we run the match process, that record will not be picked up for matching process. Or even in IDD, we won't see also this record. If there is a -1 in this column, I won't see this record in the IDD application, but in MDM, if you log in into the MDM, we can see this record.
So -1 where we can see
in this
history
column
table?
itself. No, here itself I can see, because this record is not deleted. Once I go and delete this record, I can it will change to -1 directly.
Okay, but the record will exist still.
Yeah,
After
record correct. Because that's whatever delete that happens from MDM side or from the IDD side, that is called as a soft delete. Means it will keep the record in your table, it will just put -1. Otherwise, other than that, there will be no change in the record. If you delete any record, it will just put like -1 here. That's it. So that's called a soft delete. And hard delete is like we are physically deleting this particular record from our table itself. Means the base object, cross reference. These two tables I will physically delete. Means there are some scripts are there using which we delete it. So we'll use that and delete it.
Okay. So Vinay, it's on the runtime, the flag is updated as -1, or?
Yes. At the runtime only. Whenever we go and the MDM and delete a record, it will put as -1.
So how we assign the record has to be deleted?
Yeah, that is what so that business will tell us that, for example, like there are a couple of customers which they have deleted from their system. So they will give their details, what are the customers they have deleted. So based on that, I can identify, for example, these two records were deleted from the customer system. So I will also come and delete these two records. So we can identify that because I know the primary key of their system. So based on the primary key PK source object, we can identify that which record was specifically deleted, and I can come and delete that record in MDM also.
You mean you are passing some instruction to MDM that it has to be deleted, right?
No, we can do it from the normal process also, means using the jobs, because this substate indicator is there in your mappings. When you go to the mappings, you will see that in the staging table there is a substate indicator column. So you have two options, either like in MDM we have data manager, so that we will be covering here later, like data manager is there. So either I can come to the data manager, I can open the record and I can delete this record, or you can go through the normal process also and delete the record.
Okay, I got you, but these are manual ways of doing it. So there is no, it's not like automated, right? The way we do in Power Center, like if we are supposed to send it as a delete, then we will add a flag like it has to be deleted, like soft delete. So we will add a flag like, okay, delete, record is deleted. So put it as a Y or D, something like that.
Yes.
So here also it's like that, or we are just doing it manually?
Mostly it is manual only, because we know like this is a very rare that will happen, that people are the source system is deleting any record from their side, but in case they delete it, they will tell us that some couple of records they have deleted. So
Okay.
for that, like I can just come here and manually do it instead of putting that into the landing table, then running the job, stage job, load job, all those things.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
can come here, specifically select here, I can do a filtering here, and I can get the record, and I can, like here only we have an option for
Yes.
delete, so I can come and delete it here directly, because
Okay.
that's a very rare I will be doing. So once I delete it, shows this like it is a deleted record, and now I can, like for example, come to the backend and see that it will put -1 in the table.
Okay. Got you. Thank you.
So that here the
Uh,
upset indicator has changed to -1
Yeah,
for this record.
Gina, this is Josh.
Yes.
Are you going to show us how to use the data director?
As of now, you cannot use it because for that we need to create like packages has to be created. So that we have not covered all those things. So that no, part of the course, but that is like 7th or 8th module, and we are in the 4th module. So that is why this is just to show you that how the records are deleted, and -1 comes in the table. I am using this data manager as of now.
Right. Yeah, my understanding was that the data manager is basically for data stewards,
Yeah, correct. It is
right? So
keep all the data.
they manage the data, they do all those adjustments. If the records, some specific records needs to be deleted or adjusted or modified, whatever. But
Yes.
following to the previous questions, what if, let's say, the whole, I don't know, division of the customer is supposed to be deleted, right? Like the whole region.
Yes. Yes.
Company doesn't do the business in a specific state, and they want to remove all the customers from there. So, what happens in this case? And do we need to do anything special for that, or just by the virtue that the records from source system deleted, it will be reflected in master data management?
No, like here, for example, if like as I told, like usually we do delete couple of records, but if you say that no, I have to delete like lot of records, bulk of records has to be deleted from the MDM side, do a soft delete or a hard delete. So as of now, like we are just talking about the soft delete. So in this, you can see in the staging table, you have a hub state indicator value. So what we will do is, if we have to delete like some 100 records, in that case, yes, I will not go and manually delete all the 100 records by selecting. In this case, what I will do is I will pass the data in the landing table. Means I will have the source data in the landing table, and in this case, I can create a column in the landing table like hub state indicator, and I can pass it here. Or what I can do, I can directly add a constant here and just say -1. And this I will just map it here in the staging table. So now -1 will get loaded in your staging table in hub state indicator column, and whenever you do the load process, it knows that for this primary key, because see, the source system name is CRM, PK source object also I know. So based on this combination, it will delete the record in the base object and the cross reference. So it will put -1 in the tables. Because we don't pass hub state indicator value in the staging table, so it is like null, and when we load the data in the base object, by default it gets loaded as 1. But now here I am specifically passing that I want -1 for these records. So if it gets -1, it will do a soft delete for all those records. So if you have to go for bulk operation, you will use the normal process. You will do a stage job and the load job, and then it will delete all the records. Soft delete all the records.
But we specifically need to code for that.
Yes, correct. We just need to put like -1 in the mapping. That's it. Only this change. Otherwise, no change is required. And then once you have done it, you can just come here and remove it again. This -1.
So you're saying that deletion is not very common process?
Yeah, correct. It is very rare. We don't as of now, like very rarely I have deleted any source data.
Okay.
But if it is required, you can use it like this. You can just come to the mappings, put -1, and load all the records which has to be deleted. So based on the primary key, PK source object and the source system, it will put -1 in all the records. So that will become like a soft deleted record. And later, like, I will tell you how to do a hard delete of the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Now, like, one more property we'll be seeing, which is again not a very common thing that is used, and that is basically timelines. So every base object that you see will have a timeline option. So for this it is already enabled, so let me check some other table. Okay, so for example, this is a base object ctest.bu, and for this there is a timeline option. So timeline, if you go, it has only two options, like no timeline or a dynamic timeline. This is usually used like when we are using like reference data or product data. For example, like the business says that for a particular product they want to have a value this year. For example, the product cost for 2015 to 16 will be 100, 16 to 17 will be like 110, 10% hike on the product price. So that they want to store in advance, that I want that my product cost to be defined as of now for like 5 years, coming 5 years. So that's basically a timeline. Even the time has not come, we are in like 2016 itself, but I can define like till 2020 or 30 what will be my product cost. So that's basically a timeline. Based on a time, we are defining that my product cost is this, so it will store that value into your base object level and the cross-reference table. So base object will have only one entry. For example, like we are in 2016, so it will say for 2016 to 2017 product cost is 100. So you will have 100 in your base object, but in your cross-reference you might have multiple records from 2017 to 18, 18 to 19, 19 to 20. Like this, you might have inserted multiple records. And that will become effective when we go in that particular year. So if we are in this year, it will be reflecting 100 in my base object. If I go to next year, automatically 110 will come into the base object level. So basically it is used in those scenarios in case we are dealing with reference data. Like for example, insurance companies, if we are dealing, they have like already a list, like if there is a person with this age, what will, and he is purchasing this a particular policy, what should be the product price. So they calculate and keep those things, what will be the percentage that he has to give, what percentage of hike should be there every year. So these are basically the reference data which they calculate and keep it, that every year there should be a 10% hike on this product. Later on you can change it, but as of now you want to fix it that I want a 10% hike in the product value every year. So that those things are basically maintained by this timeline. For the timeline, there are two columns which maintains that, and those are present in the mapping itself. If we go to the mapping, here we see there are two columns, period start date and the period end date. So period start date and period end date, which is there in your staging tables, from here it goes to the cross-reference table. So MDM maintains the dates only in the cross-reference table. It doesn't maintain that at the base object level. So just let me show you once how it works. So this is like the configuration guide which I have opened. So before like going to the timeline, we'll see the granularity. So this is the granular level on which you can store the timeline. It can be from seconds level to year level. So first thing is, when this option comes, that where do you select this timeline granularity? This option comes basically once we create an ORS. So whenever we go and create any ORS, at that time it will ask us that what is the timeline granularity you need. If you don't select anything, it is at a day level. It means I can maintain the data at a day level. So initially, probably you might select that option, but at a later point of time, if the business says that I don't want at a day level, I want at a yearly level. I want it to be maintained at a yearly level. In that case, we can change the value. So that is basically stored in one of the tables that is called as the C repos DB release. This table basically C repos DB release contains all the details, connection details basically, that you can see from the databases also, or here also you can come and in this table you can see what is the connection details, the SID, port number, all these things you can see in this table also. So at the end, this is the timeline granularity. It shows 3. So that's a default one. And if you want to say that no, I want on a yearly level basis, you can change it to 5. So whatever value you change, it is applicable for all the tables. So we cannot say like for one table I want yearly level granularity, for one table I want like day level granularity. That is not possible. Whatever setting is done here, it is applicable for all the base objects. So that is about the granularity level, like at what level I can go and maintain the data. And now like this is an example that they have provided in the configuration guide. So this is just an effective date. For example, on the top they have this date provided like -5 to +5. So if you don't specify any date, like if you have enabled timeline for any base object, and after enabling the timeline, you are not passing any dates, you are not passing any period start date and the period end date. This means that it is effective throughout the life. Throughout the life of that record, the value will be same as it is. Later on, the business says that, so that's the first option, A. Now in the second, business says that between these two time, I want some different value. So I will pass a start date, for example, -4 to +3. So between -4 to +3, I can have a different value. Like I say that between these two, I want a different product cost. So I will pass start date as like -4 and end date as +3. Automatically, it will change the value. So suppose like initially I have said in the original state that my product cost is 100. And I have not given any date. So product cost 100 will be applicable throughout the life. Till the product is there in MDM, the product cost will be 100. Now I am saying that for 2017 to 2018, I want product cost to be 110. So in this case, automatically MDM will do the changes. So what it will do, it before this 1 and 1 is there on the both the sides. So when you have 1, the product cost will be 100. When you are in between this time, the product cost will be like 110. So timeline, it maintains automatically. Whatever dates we are passing, MDM adjusts the timings automatically. So I'll just show you what practically that will be more clear to you, like how it is happening. And one more thing here is about the other option, which is allow non-contiguous effective period. So allow non-contiguous effective period is like you say that if there you want gaps between the timeline. For example, like if we say a company wants to capture like the dollar rate. So for example, dollar rate keeps fluctuating. It might be fluctuating at a seconds level, or it might fluctuate at a minute level or a hourly level. So suppose like the business says that I want to keep the dollar rate at a hourly level. So business is open only for 8 hours a day. This means I can insert only 8 records. Every hour there will be one record which is inserted into the cross-reference table. So one day I have inserted 8 records. For every 8 hours the business was open, and then the business will open the next day. So there is a gap of 16 hours. So next day when the business opens and they try to insert a record, they will get an error that gap between the timeline is not allowed. So it will just say that you cannot have gaps between that time. So if you say that no, I want gap between the time because for the next 16 hours the business is closed, so I cannot insert any value for that particular record. In this case, you will have to use this option, which is like allow non-contiguous effective period. So if you select this option, it will allow gaps between the timeline. So that's basically what is a timeline and why we are going to use it. And that's a very rare condition that you will be using the timeline, because as I told, it is mainly used for the reference data, or in case we are mastering product. In that case, the business will be maintaining the timelines. Otherwise, usually it is not enabled for any base object. So let me show you some, load some record and show you how it is working. This is a SOAP UI tool, and using the SOAP UI tool, I am just truncating the table, customer table. So this I will tell you like later. This is part of the SIP services, and we will go to the SIP part, how to use these services. So as of now, like I have truncated my table, customer table is truncated, and now in my landing table I have just kept 2 records, and I have not given any period start date and the end date for them as of now. So first I will load this record, and then we will make the changes. So if you don't load any record, it is basically applicable throughout the life. I mean, till the record is there in your base object level, whatever values I have loaded, that will be the active records. So like I have just run the stage job and the load job. So two records are there in my base object table. So this is like my C customer, that's the base object. And the timeline is basically maintained at the cross reference level, and in the column period start date and the period end date. So as of now, for both the record, the period start date and the period end date is like null, means it will be active throughout. So now like what we'll do is we'll change the dates. We'll say that between a particular period I want some different values, and that will do for one record. We'll go to the landing table again, and now suppose for the period start date, we'll say that from 1st September. So from 1st to 10th September, I want like name, I want to change the value. Name generation like is like Q. Instead of P, I am passing Q. That is the only change I am putting here. That name generation I am changing from P to Q. And because I am changing the value, I need to change the last update date also. So I am just making it from 30th, 31st. So this is the change that I have done for only one record. I am just updated the period start date and the period end date. That between this 1st to 10th September, I want the name generation to be Q. So this we will load into the table and see like what changes happens at the cross reference level. Because as of now in my cross reference table, I have only two records. To go to the cross reference table, I just have two records here because we just loaded two records only. And now for one of the record, we are passing the period start date and the period end date values. So we'll again go and run the stage job and the load job. So now it is done. So load job is also done. So here you can see no action for one record because for one of the record I didn't change anything. Means I didn't updated the last update date. So that is why it is showing no action for one record. And if you see updated cross reference, it is showing 3. So now let us check the XREF. What happened to the XREF table? So now here you'll see that there are some changes in the cross reference table for all these records. So previously for YD object we had only one record, but now for YD object 1 I have 3 records. So what is the difference is like we have passed this value. I have passed that from 1st September to 10th September. I want name generation to be Q. So if you go at the end, you can see that value. See, the name generation is Q. So means the XREF is correct as of now because we have passed the same value for the name generation. But what changes happen to the timeline here? Because I passed the date as 1st September to 10th September, so it has created 2 more records. One is from null to 31st means just before 1st September. So anything till 31st August will be using this record, means this record will be active till 31st August 2016. When we are in 1st September to 10th September, this record will be active. And once we are in 11th September, from 11th September to the end, this record will be active. So now, previously, like we had only one cross-reference record, and that was active throughout the life. But because now I'm using period start date and end date, I will have multiple records in my cross-reference table. But only one record will be active at a time, and that is based on the current date. So based on the current system date, whatever is the current system date, based on that current system date, that this particular cross-reference will be active, and everything from that record will get promoted automatically at the base object level. So we don't have to do anything for that. So if we go to the base object level, for example, for the first record, as of now it is showing P. It is showing P because the system date is like 28th August. That is the reason why it is showing P here. Once we are in like 1st September, this value will automatically change to Q. So we don't have to do anything for that, because when we are in 1st September to 10th September, this particular cross-reference will be active record. So when we go to the cross-reference, between 1st September to 10th September, this record will be active. And according to this record, name generation is Q. So Q will get promoted into the master record. So this is how, like, in case business want to maintain the timeline of any particular base record, that as we discussed, like product, that for every year, this is like on a day basis, because we have maintained the granularity at a day level basis. Similarly, business can maintain at a yearly level basis also. They can say that between this to this year, I want the product cost to be 100. From next year, I want a 10% hike. So in advance, they will calculate for 4 to 5 years, and they will send it to us. So in my cross reference, for one record, there will be 5 or 6 records, but only one record will be active at a time, and that is based on the current date. So based on the current date, one cross reference will be active, and whatever values is there in the cross reference, that will automatically get promoted into the base object table. And if you see this record, first record and the third record, this is exactly same, because previously only one was there, because I had inserted record from 1st September to 10th September. The record was split up, but the values, if you see in the values, are exactly the same for both of them. There is no difference in the values. So same thing it was trying to explain here also in the configuration guide, that initially I also did the same thing. Initially I loaded the record without any value, so null period start date and null period end date, and after that I said that between a particular date I want some specific value. So one was broken up, one is there in the front, one is there at the end, and between we have 2 here. Any questions on this timeline? Similarly, basically it will keep breaking up. For example, like one more thing we can do is, for example, 1st September to 10th September, we have said that I want the product cost to be, I want the name generation to be Q. So let us go again inside the landing table and make one more change here. So now like from 1, this is the landing table, so where we have given like 1st September to 10th September. Now let us change this. We will say that suppose from 5 September to 6 September or 7 September just take. So between 5 to 7 September, I want name generation to be R. And again I will just update the date, something this timing I will change it. So there is the change again. So businesses send us like that between 5 September to 7 September, the name generation is R. Other columns are exactly same. There is no change in the other columns. So let us load this data and then see what happens. So what we know, like what is going to happen. I am going to pass this data 5 to 7 September. So again it is falling between 1 to 10 September. See, there is already a record from 1 September to 10 September where name generation is Q. And again I am passing values as like from 5 September to 7 September, I want R. So again that record will break up into 2 records, 3 records basically. So you will see value that from 1 September to 4 September and again from 8 to 10 September. It will get broken. Or it might not be from that also, because here if you go to the cross reference, I have like 10 September is the end date. So let's see like what happens here. As of now, this is the situation. I will just copy it. So we have null here. And here we have the null. So this is the current situation I have in my tables. So now we will run the load job, stage job and the load job again and see like what changes happening to the data. So MDM automatically basically maintains the timeline. Whatever dates we are passing, it will recalculate that and it will update the dates. So we don't have to bother about it. We just need to pass the dates, the period start date and the end date, because business has told that between these dates, they want this value to be there in your base object level. So again, it's showing the same thing, no action for one record and updated cross-reference as 3. So now let us go back to the cross-reference table. So now this, it has broken up here. So you can see, so this is the previous one is still the same. See this record, copy it here. So you see that these 2 records, the first one 11 September and this record 31st, this is actually same, there is no change. Previously we had between 1st September to 10th September we had given a value and now we have broken it up. So what we have given is, we have given 5 to 7 September. This is the one we have given, that between 5 to 7 September I want product, this name generation to be R. So it has broken it up into 2 things. So it is like from 1 to 4 September and then from 8 to 10 September. These 2 has come up. So 1 to 10 September is broken up into these three. So whatever time you passed, based on that time, MDM will recalculate and it will put those many entries in your cross-reference table. And when we are in that particular date, the record will be active. So if we see this record, like if we go to this record where we have specified that between 5 to 7 September, my name generation will be R. So here you can see R is there. So when we are actually in that particular time period, this R will get promoted into the master record because this is an active record. So here the records will be active and non-active based on the time period that we have specified. So just go through this, like if you get time, go through the configuration guide. They are like same thing is mentioned, but there are many methods for that. It will just say that what happens when you insert something before, insert something after, insert something between. So all those scenarios are given in this configuration guide. So just have a look into that if you get time, and if you have any questions, we can discuss it again tomorrow. And tomorrow, like we will be starting with the match part. So basically in that we have two things, exact match and the fuzzy match. So initially we'll be starting with the exact match. We'll see like what is the exact match and what are the properties which we can set up for the exact matching. And then we will go to the fuzzy match.
Vinay, do we have any versioning concept in this? Versioning?
This is like a versioning only.
Oh.
We are maintaining different versions of the same record based on a time period. So here like version will not come like 1, 2, 3, 4 versioning, but it just by looking at the dates we can identify that what is the current version, because version keeps on changing. As you saw that initially everything was null when we inserted this record from 1 September to 10 September, automatically from 1 it changed to 3 records. And then when I again splitted this 1 to 10, I just passed this value from 5 September to 7 September. Again, we have different set of records. So this is like a versioning only, but based on a date column. And it keeps fluctuating based on whatever dates we are passing. So version can change automatically based on what date we have passed. And at a time, so at your base object level, you have only one record, but at your cross-reference level, you can have multiple records. But at a time, only one record will be active, and that is based on the current date. So based on the current date, whichever date we are in, that record will be active, and everything from that record will be promoted into your base object level.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
Okay.
And when one thing is what we observe is like it is midnight 12. So by default it is midnight 12, or can we change it from by default to some other value as well?
Which one? This one, timeline?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can change it because here, like whatever values I have given. Okay, let me go. Okay, no, sorry. This is based on a date level. Sorry, our day level. So because it is on a day level basis, I cannot change this date. It will be 12 a.m. only.
Always, right?
Yeah, it will be 12. We cannot change the date. In case we are going for like hourly level or seconds level, in that case you can manipulate the seconds and hours.
Okay.
But because this is a date level, we cannot change it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll continue tomorrow.
Sure.
Thanks.